So welcome back to the Active Region. Today I'm going to be reviewing a product. These are LED steering wheel control replacements for a 2007 Chevy Trailblazer, but I do believe that these fit many different model Chevy vehicles. They look to be decent. I haven't opened it up yet, but these were sent in by a viewer that watches this channel. I do have a card if you would like to go to his store. GM Gauge Repair. By the name, it sounds like he repairs clusters and whatnot. So yeah, GM Cluster Rebuilds, custom cluster parts, accessories, and customization. So I'll leave a link in the description to this guy's store, or a woman's store, I'm not sure. So let's take a look at these. They look pretty good. See, my controls, I replaced my volume knob, and I'll leave that video link below as well. My bulbs are just regular incandescents and they are blown out. These two don't even light up anymore, and the volume control again is starting to wear out. So since he offered to send me these for review, I accepted, and I said I would do a review for them, and if they seem to be of decent quality, I would post it. So here it is. Alright, so let's open these up. And these are a blue LED. I think that's indicated by this blue dot. I'm not sure if these are actual Chevy or GM controls. They might be remanufactured, made in China, so they're probably been modified, or they're definitely probably not a stock product, but as long as they work, it doesn't matter. They're just steering wheel controls. They do feel like my stock controls, and they look good too. Doesn't seem to be any issue there. The quality seems fairly good. There's a B on here. I believe that stands for blue. All these hooks right here these will clamp into the stock steering wheel. I believe the chassis of the steering wheel, these click into. So right here you'll have your wiring harness that will hook up to these controls and power the lights and your inputs. So yeah, I mean, they look great. I mean, until I install them, I won't know how well they illuminate, but they look fairly sturdy. They don't feel cheap. That's the whole thing. Even though they're from China, they don't feel like a cheap product. They feel like the stock controls. So I'm going to install these and see how they look. So I'm in my truck right now, and I just want to show you what I have so far. This is the one I replaced a year or two ago, and it's already starting to peel up again. This is fairly common. This is due to me. This isn't a defect in the GM control. I am constantly using this button over and over and over and over and over, multiple times a day. So I can see why this is happening. I probably need to stop doing that, but I can't help myself. So it's time to replace these. I'm going to shut the light off here, and you can see what they look like stock without it. They're kind of dim. They're not very bright at all. I don't know if this camera's doing any justice. And the ones down below, and this thing's losing focus, but the ones down below are not even lighting up anymore. So these are definitely dead and need to be replaced anyway. I still have stock incandescents in the dash. I haven't changed any of that stuff yet. But since I've done this, maybe in the future I will decide to do something if they turn out to be nice. I know it's a little bit more involved doing the dash because you have to take it all apart and solder LEDs in there, and that can be a big project. So I'm going to try and get this out, and we'll see how the blue looks. This is how they come out. You just need a couple of spudger tools to get in between the control and the back of the steering wheel. And you just got to work these out. It will just unclip and slide out. I can't do it one-handed, and there's no way to get a tripod in here in the car. So once I get this pried out, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I basically just bit on the edge of this and kind of just pulled both of them from each side, and it just pops straight out forward. Now the only problem with these controls, and it's not the controls, it's actually the wiring behind them, is very, very short. So it's kind of tricky to get in there. Let's see if I can get my flashlight here. And you have to get to the wiring harness that is way back there. And what I found is you just have to kind of pull it out as best as you can and get to that little clip. And there's a little retention clip that you have to press, and then the clip will pull out from the back of the control. And I'll show you that once I get this out. Okay, so it is disconnected from the switch, and you can probably see that little, let's get a bit of focus here. You'll see a little tab. Alright, so that tab you need to press in is right there. It has a little bit of a rib on it. You'll press that and it will lever this up and disconnect it from the switch, and it will slide right off the back. The length of the wire, like I said, is fairly short, and it will come out to probably about the face of this rubber part here, so there's just enough room to get behind it to unclip it. Okay, so I've plugged in the new one here, and it's about ready to be reinstalled, and I can tell you already, I really like it. The color is really nice. It is very evenly lit. Let me shut the light off here. Let's see if I can shut this off. Yeah, those look really, really nice. So I'm going to get the rest of these installed. Houston, we have a problem. I can't get this one out. The wire is too short. I can only get it out about maybe 3/4 of an inch. So that's going to be an issue. And these bottom ones, they don't want to come out more than 1/8 of an inch. The only solution that I know of to get more slack on these cables is to remove the airbag. And that is going to be a lot of fun, because I don't want to blow my face off. So what I got to do is either disconnect the battery or the airbag fuse. If you want to be 100% safe, disconnect the airbag, but disconnect the negative battery terminal, but I'm going to disconnect the airbag fuse. And if you do this, if you're following along with this video, or if you're doing anything that I do, you're doing it at your own risk, because I can't say that this will go off or not. But I'm going to disconnect the fuse and wait 10 minutes, and we'll try and remove this. So I'm under the hood right now, and I'm going to pull fuse 18, and you can see right there it's between relay 40 and 47, and that is going to be right here. And I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to wait 10 minutes for the power to drain in the airbag module. So to remove the airbag, you need to stick a needle or a pick or a small screwdriver in each side of the steering wheel, and that will release the front side of the airbag. Okay, so I have the airbag pulled off of the column here, and it's just resting on the bottom of the wheel. And to disconnect them, you have to pull these connectors off. I hate working around airbags. It's just insanely dangerous. So I removed the airbag, and now I feel safe sitting behind this. Just basically unplugs by those two connectors there. You have to pull a yellow safety pin out of the back, and they just pop right out. I had just enough slack to get this one out, so you just have to follow the wire and kind of just tug on them a little bit. End up getting enough slack to replace this connector here, or this plug. On this control, and that was tricky. That one was really tight, and these two here, I have no idea how I'm going to do these ones. There's like zero slack in these two bottom ones, so I'm going to have to try and figure out how to get some slack on these. Okay, so my idea is to actually get the screwdriver into the rubber here, to stab it through, because this is all inside. You're never going to see that hole, and then go in behind the clip and hold the wire clip, the connector on the back side, and try and line it up. And then what I'm going to try and do is slide the switch into the clip, and with the screwdriver press back on it and then snap it into the connector. Let's see how that works out. Oh, it worked. It was a little work, but it worked. So now I can pull the screwdriver out of here and push this back in all the way. Sorry for the poor lighting, by the way. I'm doing this at like 7 o'clock at night. It got dark on me here.
So that pushed in. So that idea works. It does leave a little hole on the inside, but no big deal. The airbag is going to cover that, and you're never going to see it. It's a lot better than trying to take this whole wheel apart and try to get that connector on there. That's just baloney right there. I can't believe that. So on to the last one. I think I'm going to try that same method since that seemed to work out. Well, looky what we have here. I think somebody else has thought of this idea, or this is the factory way to install it. I don't know, but there are two holes right here. I don't know if you can see them very well. Yeah, there you go. There are two holes right here that go in right behind the switch. So I think there is a special tool for this that they're not telling everybody about. So I may have stumbled on the idea just by pure accident here while I just thought of the idea, but I think that might be the actual way to replace them. Don't know. I've looked at the service manual and it doesn't really tell you much. Well, I'm going to tell you, it wasn't fun, but I did it. Maybe because it's 28 degrees out right now and freezing my cojones off, but I was able to do it by stabbing into or going behind this little slot here and just aligning the connector up with the back of the switch. And then as you're pushing the switch in, push in with the screwdriver, and you can hear it click. It's a little bit of a fight, and it takes a little bit of patience, but it can be done, and it is well worth it because we now have blue lights on all four corners here. So let me get the airbag in and we can do this again. Okay, so here comes the fun part, putting this stupid airbag back in. I am terrified of this damn thing. So once you get those airbag connectors back on, it's just a matter of plugging them back in. You just have to push this in, make sure the wires aren't getting bound up, and just push it back in, and it should just snap right back in. Now, of course, I disconnected the horn fuse as well, because when you push this in, the horn would be going off. And let me tell you, when you're in there with the horn circuit still on, it's like a game of Operation with your screwdriver. I almost thought I was deploying the airbag when I was disconnecting things, because it was just I was hitting the horn with the screwdriver and grounding it out. All right, so now I'm going to put the horn fuse back in, and that came out of here. And I'm going to put the airbag horn back in, and hopefully it doesn't go off. And it didn't, so that's good. And put the cover back on. And now let's see how our steering wheel looks. I gotta say, I really dig these. These look awesome. And all the controls work. Everything's working great. And now I'm kind of wishing my dashboard was blue. I got the service airbag soon on. I'm sure that's gonna have to clear after a few power cycles here. StableLink always does this because I think I have to change the there's a steering wheel position sensor on this. So yeah, I think that is going to be an issue. So I'm going to do a few power cycles and see if this airbag clears. So I'm back in the house where it's nice and toasty. Let me tell you, I got my thermals on. It's like 28 degrees out there. It is freezing, and that just sucked in the dark and the cold, but it's the only time I had to work on it. So, but it all turned out good. The airbag system control is still saying airbag. It's probably going to require multiple key cycles and the computer to re-register that fuse is back in its holder. I would suggest if you do this, just to disconnect the battery. I was kind of... this truck is very finicky when you disconnect the battery on the Trailblazers. The computers just do not like it. So I always cringe every time I think about having to disconnect that battery, because it resets the computer and the readiness of the OBD2, and I'm due for an inspection next month. And let me tell you, that truck takes forever to get into a ready mode with the emissions control system. I don't know why, but it just takes forever. I've seen it almost take a month, and my inspection's due in less than a month. So I didn't want to disconnect the battery for strictly that reason. And also, it also resets all the idle control and relearns everything. Oh, it just runs weird
sometimes when I disconnect the battery. It takes a little while for things to get readjusted. And also, one other weird thing is the the GM LAN system sometimes doesn't always come back online correctly. Sometimes my door won't be working, or my passenger door won't work, my dome lights won't work. Weird stuff happens when you disconnect the battery on Trailblazers. So if you're probably saying, why didn't you just disconnect the battery? Those are the reasons why. I know I was taking a little bit of safety out of my hands with not doing that, but I did disconnect the fuse, so I'm hoping I was safe. I didn't blow my face off, so I'm grateful for that. But if it's anybody else, I'm always going to suggest to disconnect the battery. And but the project turned out good. Everything worked out. I got these old grungy blown switches out. I may end up trying to rebuild these eventually. Maybe I'll put some LEDs in them and save them for a rainy day, but I don't know. The faces are starting to get worn on them. They got stains. This one here is these two here have the actual lamps blown in them, and you can tell the little scrapes I've had. I had a little hook tool that I had. Basically was something similar to this. Harbor Freight. I went down inside and I grabbed the bottom of the switch to pull it out, and it just got a few marks on it when I was pulling it out. And these things were the two bottom ones were a bear, and was not fun. But the two top ones, the volume control knob and the seek, was probably the easiest one, and this one was right behind it. Was a little bit more complicated, and these two were just horrible. But if you follow those tricks that I showed you that I found, that seemed to work out well. And this is the newest of them all, and as you can see, it's already starting to wear out here and here, where it's wearing through. And you know, like I said, I use these a lot, and when I do, my finger, I usually press it like this and like this, so my nail is constantly hitting that area. I should probably start thinking about how I do it, but my hand's on the wheel, and my thumb was always coming across, and it's just more comfortable to hit it like that. But I know it's prematurely wearing the finish off my switches, which kind of sucks. But this is the easiest one to replace, so I'm grateful for that. I don't have to take the whole wheel apart like I did in this video to change just this switch out. So if I don't mind replacing just this one takes literally 5 minutes to change out. So yeah, those worked out. If you guys enjoyed this video, click the like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. That'd be nice. And if you want, check these out. The link to this is below. And that's about it. Have a good night.